Before the system, before the sale, before the strategy, there is vision, a quiet knowing. Business begins in the mind. Every system you create is an extension of your self-concept. If there are errors, constraints, challenges in your business, they didn't begin with a system, a spreadsheet, or a strategy or framework. They began here. In this episode, we kick off the week of Mentalism, which is the first hermetic principle of the 7 hermetic principles or universal laws which govern all of creation. We will unpack how your business is actually the mirror of your mind, and we'll also go into common mental misalignments within this concept and in your business, and even dive a little bit further into some practical applications of how you can use mentalism and what exactly mentalism in business really means. So before we dive way deep into the field, we have to understand what exactly is mentalism. Well, it's the first of the 7 hermetic principles, which reads, the all is mind, the universe is mental. In the universe, in the creation process of all things and all beings that could ever be created, there is an idea. There is a thought form or thought wave energy that begets itself or wills itself into existence. And with your help, you can allow it or get it to move across a threshold where it can be within the 4th or 5th dimensional formless space and actually traverse into the slower physical 3D world or substantial reality. In business, this really means that your business does not begin with a strategy, offer, or a marketing campaign, or anything of that nature. It actually begins with the business owner's self-identity. In other words, the self-concept of the builder actually becomes the blueprint of the business. There are many deep misconceptions as far as how business even gets formed. Yes, many people have an idea, which usually comes from what they're studying within the marketplace and what trends that exist or what void that could be filled or what problem that could be solved. But ultimately, if none of those things really align with you or who you are, then there's really no point in even going on that path because it's not you. So if you're a business owner right now, if you're someone who is starting to think of a business idea or a concept, ask yourself, is it something that truly aligns with my being? Is this something that I'm willing to go all the way in? Because let's be real, there's a ton of noise out there. Do this strategy, employ this framework, create this marketing campaign, use this copy, find these leads, find these people, build this team in this way, in this space, in this structure, so that we can go out and compete against other people in the marketplace, try to beat each other, which is a whole other topic. I digress. Let's take this back a second. In any creative venture or process, and business is no different, it began with something that you deeply cared about. It began with something that you wanted to do or embark on for the simple fact that there was something within that idea or concept that drove you, that you felt deeply connected to. With that in mind, some common misalignments that many people, both new business owners and veteran business owners, tend to come up with or tend to experience the imposter syndrome of, am I actually a business owner or business person? Am I cut out for this? I don't look like or sound like or feel like or be like any of the people that I see within the marketplace. This might not be right for me. The first thing that you have to really deeply understand is that you creating a business is an act of manifestation. It is not something that you can be right or wrong about, as morality has nothing to do with your self-concept being formed into a crystalline version of you in that of something that someone else can interact with, i.e. a business. What's important here is to note that a business person does not look like or sound like any particular thing. There are many different archetypes that exist within business whom you can emulate or model yourself after. However, that isn't necessary. You are you, and you are enough, and you are valid in your beliefs. And the marketplace has plenty of space for your idea. Another thing to note is that of the reactive decision making versus the sovereign decision making. Reactive decision making is simply you wanting to do or execute upon things that you see happening by other people. And because they have a lot of success with these things or perceived success, you want to immediately jump on the bandwagon and start employing all of these programs and systems because you feel that you're already behind the curve because you've started well after the person who's creating the thing that you want to emulate. Take a pause. Know that whatever you're trying to do might have been done by someone before, or maybe it hasn't whatsoever. And you've reached a critical juncture where you are now in what I like to call empty space, where you've been walking down the path and now there are no landmarks. There's no left or right forks, mountains, or anything that's notable. It's just you in a world of infinite opportunity. So begin to experiment. That's all that this is. It's just one gigantic experiment where you actually have the freedom and sovereignty to be able to choose whatever it is that you want to employ, test different things that works for you, and get rid of things that don't, all in an effort to build something that is the most congruent form of your self-concept. Here's the harsh truth. You don't need to work harder. You don't need a new strategy. You don't need to compete against anyone. You don't need to establish a new framework for your business or a new system or a new CRM or any of that. You actually need a new self-concept. Before any of those things are even workable, you have to establish who you are first. Who am I? What am I here to deliver? Does this align with a skill set? Does this align with a belief system that is very close and dear to my heart? Is it actionable? Something that I can actually step into and be able to work on? What are the resources that I need, if any? And a lot of times you can start a business more or less for free. What do I need to learn? Who do I need to learn it from? Why? And then from here, experimentation and backtesting. A lot of willpower and a ton of belief. It is from the answers to these questions that you will then create who you are, but in business form. Your marketing strategy, sales copy, offers, delivery systems, your strategies, they will all come from here. And until you fully establish who is my idealized self-concept, how does that person operate? Once you're able to do this, most of your strategy will just fall into place. It's sort of what happened with myself in Sacred Systems. I laid on my bed, I asked a question, I received a download, I then begin to do the work and the research, and before you know it, it was almost every other day. I'd sit in silence for about an hour with my journal, and I just started getting all of these different downloads and just writing down everything that I thought about and begin to research and execute on some of those things and see what resonated with me and see what didn't. Now, as promised, I said I would give you a practical integration, and one that you can do is to ask yourself the question, what belief built this part of my business? At the very core, if you understand that your offer is what you are willing to do and deliver to other people and provide service for. Marketing is how you magnetize. Your sales structure is how you communicate. Your systems is how you think, as well as your operations. All of those things at some point in time you may have learned from other business owners and other people, and I'm sure they have told you this is the framework that works, these are industry standards, these are the things that the big guys are doing, these are the things that are good, these are the things that are not good. And all of that may be valid. However, does it even align with how you think of yourself? If it does, then by all means keep it. But if it doesn't, then it may be time to reconsider what you put in its place, if anything. Another thing you can implement is to write a 3-part map, identifying your past self and what that person thought and believed, your present self and what you currently think and believe now, and keep in mind of that ideal self-concept or higher version of you, and then begin to establish what would that person believe and how would they begin building systems and frameworks that align with that version. And the way you really come into true congruence is start listening to that version. because it'll take you a very long way. In Thursday's video, I'll actually give you a deep dive into how I rewrote my entire business by rewiring my self-concept. And be sure to comment architect here in this video, or DM me architect on Instagram at Nakhenra. I will leave that right there in the description for you to access. So that way I know, number one, that you're out here building something, and number two, if you do need help, please let me know, and I'll be sure to send you some free worksheets and resources to help you map out the greatest version of you and your business. Be sure to subscribe so we can all thrive, and I thank you for being here. We'll see you in the next one.